4. Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott. Hey, welcome to the Sunday Prog Stream, where we are anxiously awaiting the arrival of Harry Whitley, lead singer for Asia. He's tried to log on already, so I know he's lurking around. He's trying, so patience. In the meantime, let's see if we can get Cody up on the screen. There's
Hello.
Cody. How are you? Okay. Hey, Harry's back. I promise I wasn't teasing this. Let's see if we can hear Harry this time. Harry, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen, it's the one, the only Harry Whitley. And today, well, let me give you a little bit of a backdrop here. Harry, I'm going to steal the show because it's my show. But anyway, a couple years ago, almost 3 years ago, man, I was watching this cat do these Asia videos. I'm friends with Jeff Downs on Twitter. So I befriend this guy I'd never heard of before that was just killing it with these videos. Then I noticed there was like, I don't know, like Jeff sharing Harry's videos. And I'm like, put that in the back of my mind. And here we go. Fast forward a couple of years later, I can proudly say we have the lead singer for Asia on the show. Harry, congratulations. And I want to hear a little bit about how this whole thing transpired, how you and Jeff hooked up, and the whole Asia team, and this tour happened, and the whole the John Wetton thing, I guess, somehow plays into it. Tell the story, Harry.
Okay, well, firstly, thank you for having me. You know, it's lovely to be here. So basically, during COVID, I was looking for a way to sort of keep doing music, basically, and just sort of keep my hand in. And I just decided to start doing videos on YouTube and just sort of post covers of stuff and play the parts. And I was looking for songs to do, and on my list of songs, Asia was at the top because it was either that or ABBA probably. And I did do some ABBA, but so I did the Asia songs. I did a few of them, and I was always a massive Asia fan. I wasn't sort of a super fan. I'd never seen them live, but I always loved the band. I loved everybody that was in the band as well. And so I just posted them, and then I woke up one morning and there was hundreds of notifications on Twitter, and I thought, what on earth? Like either the earth has imploded or something, And it was Jeff had shared one of the videos.
Yeah, he did.
And I was amazed, and then he sent me a message and just said, "Look, who are you? What do you do? Blah 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 blah." And that was about it, really. And I thought, "Oh wow, that's really cool." And then cut to about sort of 18 months ago, Jeff sent me a message and said, "Look, we're gonna do this John Wetton tribute show, and I'd really like to be part of it if you're interested. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but I'd really like you to do it." So I took all of sort of 5 seconds to say, yeah, all right, then let's do it. And and it wasn't framed in a way of we're going to be doing this. It was very sort of loose. I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to be doing. I thought initially that they were just inviting me to come and sing a song, just me at the piano. Right. So I didn't know what it was. And basically they put together a sort of not a fake Asia, like a sort of a tribute to Asia, like people who were in the orbit of Asia. So Billy Sherwood was there, and Jay Shellen, and Jeff, obviously, and John Mitchell. And we just did this one-off live stream thing and played sort of 5 or 6 Asia songs. And I thought that was it. I thought that's just, it was amazing. Bill Bruford was there. He came out of retirement for the show. And I just thought that was it. And then probably around Christmas time, management got in touch and said, "Look, we've got an opportunity to bring Asia back, basically, and Jeff would like you to be a part of it if you want to go ahead with it." So that was it, basically. I said yes, and and here we are. It is crazy, and I get that. I also get it from the other side that a lot of people not everybody is going to be happy with this because I'm not John Wetton. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, we're in a situation where John isn't here. And the music deserves to be played live rather than just sit on a shelf and gather dust.
Yeah.
The original recordings haven't gone anywhere. They're still there. It doesn't change anything that's happened. But if you want to hear the music live, that's what we're going to do, and yes, there will be new stuff from Asia, and it's life goes on, and fortunately or unfortunately, as much as I would love John to still be here and go and see Asia,
we would all love if John were still here.
And the thing is as well, like it becomes a little bit more difficult because John was so loved. It's not as if it's an obscure guy that was in a band that not many people are aware of. Right. John is a huge name in the prog world, and I have not got that name. I am not John Wetton, so I get why it is difficult for people. But I can say this, I think we sounded pretty good live. I will say, I've heard some of the recordings. We sounded pretty good, and for it to sound that good, and without John, this is probably the best that we can do,
Okay, well, let's for the naysayers out there, like this can't be Asia. Even you yourself used the word fake Asia, which I guess, that was at the tribute, Billy Sherwood and Jay Shellen. But if you don't know who's in this version of Asia, okay, obviously it's Jeff Downs. Y'all have just met Harry, and I urge you to go to his YouTube page, his YouTube channel at Harry Whitley Music. There are 19 Asia videos, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to be sold on this guy's talent, just go scroll through there, listen to those. And then you've got Virgil Donati on drums, Planet X. Are you kidding me? That guy is just ridiculous, bro. And John Mitchell from Frost.
Yeah, Jeff put together an absolute murderer's row. Yeah,
he did.
These are the best players that there are, and
Harry fits right in.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
How does that feel, Harry, knowing that you're amongst that kind of company?
It's really scary, actually, if I can be completely honest, because I get that as well, because I was a fan of these people beforehand. As much as John Mitchell is one of my closest friends now, he is still John Mitchell. Like, occasionally I think, oh my, like, he's John Mitchell, and it is a really scary position to be in. And I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not an easy position to be in either. I don't take it for granted. But it is surreal. It is very surreal to sort of look behind you and there's Virgil Donati sort of signaling that there's a chorus coming in with like sextuplets in 15/8 or whatever. He's sort of, it is really surreal. But mostly, I will say, the strangest thing in a good way is looking to my left and seeing Jeff. I don't think I'll ever quite get over that sort of. It is very surreal, but I love it. I love seeing that Jeff is. It's amazing. It is amazing.
He's a great guy. He is. I met him about 5 years ago. He's such a nice dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a pleasure to meet you, man.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, we'll go around. We haven't introduced anybody. I just got so excited when Harry hit the stream because, I get worried. I want to give you guys good quality content, so my little heart starts racing a little bit. But anyway, I've got Wayne with us. Wayne, all the way from Alberta. Say hello to the people.
Hello, people.
And then Brent Bristow, Emerald City Council. Glad you could be back this week. You were with us during the Mythologic Live playthrough. How you doing today?
Hey, doing great. Really glad to be here. And
your microphone is nice and close, and we appreciate that.
Yes, last week it didn't quite work out like I hoped, so I made a little change this week. But I've been a huge Asia fan for a long time, and of course, with our friend Paul Bilatovich, who appears on the Emerald City Council album, and of course he's in Carl Palmer's band. So we're like two or three.
There's the connection. There you go. I forgot about Paul and Carl. There you go.
Exactly. So we're real pleased with that. And I was just telling the guys, Harry, before you got on, that I found on YouTube a video of you guys playing live. And normally when I see that it's just a phone video that someone took.
one of
It
those.
was a live thing. I'm usually like, and I click off of it, but I was engaged the entire time. It was
good.
amazing. You sounded great. It was I was very, very, very impressed and very happy to see the legacy of the band go on.
Oh, thank you.
And if you missed it last week, I know Harry was around. He was lurking around, but last Sunday, we did our live playthrough with Scott and his brand new album, Mythologics. Light at the end. Scott, how you doing? How's everything going? What are you hearing about the album?
I'm doing real fine. The show was a lot of fun. I just had a great time, and it was a lot of thoughtful comments and a lot of nice interaction with people. I'm not sure about the exact sales increase figures, but I know my streams and plays across all the streaming things have been tripled in some cases right around the time of the show. So
there you go. That's ladies and gentlemen, that's the power of the Prog Corner right there.
Yes,
I thank all of you guys in the Peanut Gallery who watch this thing live and the ones who watch it later on video on demand. Thank you so much. It is you guys actually taking action on the things that we talk about, the artists that we promote, that actually makes this show matter, right? You are my force multiplier. When you guys go out there and buy the merchandise, it actually makes me look really, really, really good. So thank you. And I'm glad to hear that people are starting to pay attention to Mythologic. That's good news, Scott.
I'm working on the fourth one.
And there you go. And of course, we've got Cody flying solo today by all accounts.
Flying solo, yes. The future wife is actually still sleeping, if you can believe that. But yeah, wow, awesome. I'm so glad.
She's a youngin'. I don't, Brent. We don't fly like that anymore, do we? What time did you get up this morning, Brent?
Oh, what time did I get up?
Yeah, man.
Oh, geez. Well, I woke up about 5.
That's what I thought.
But then went back to sleep for a while. So closer to 8.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, so that's our lineup here, man. But before we get started, really drilling down, really diving in deep to the Asia catalog, which I'm telling you, boys and girls, goes way deeper than the debut. It absolutely does. In fact, I almost made a stipulation: top 10 Asia songs, excluding anything on the debut, but that just didn't feel right. So we're not going there. We're not playing that game. But before we get into it, Harry, I want to talk to you a little bit about your early musical influences. Where did you grow up, and what were you listening to as a kid that led you to where you are now?
Okay, so I grew up in North Wales. I still live here, and it's where I was born. And I had classical piano lessons from about 5 or 6. I had classical piano lessons, and then I had jazz piano lessons. And I did all my grades, all my Royal College of Music stuff. And my piano teacher, Tim, was a huge influence on sort of what I grew up listening to, really. So he would always say, "Oh, you'd really like Emerson, Lake and Palmer," or he'd say, "Oh, you'd really like Genesis. I think you'd really like that." And that he basically got me into Asia as well. But yeah, I grew up listening to all kinds of stuff from sort of 50s rock and roll, because I think Tim sort of, as well as sort of learning all of the sort of traditional stuff, that goes with learning the piano, he was very good at sort of teaching me to be well-rounded as well. So we did a lot of sort of rock and roll stuff and like accompanying yourself and all of that sort of.
All right, Harry froze up.
Genesis fan. So that was that's something that was always really big to me growing up, was Genesis, and Yes, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Asia. Asia was also a huge thing for me as well. It's it's what else? There's so much, tons of stuff.
Yeah,
you just like everything. Yeah,
and,
everything.
Got a couple questions already here, and I think Jordy has a good one.
Okay,
Jordy, I believe he's all the way in Barcelona. He wants to know what's the trickiest song playing on that set list. Now, You don't play a lot of keyboards in the set list, so this
No,
is a little extra duty for you here. So we're talking primarily about bass playing, right?
Yeah. So this and Asia's my first time that I've ever played bass with anybody. I've never done that. I've always been a keyboard player. That's if people would ask me, "What are you?" I'd never said that I was a singer. I never said I was a bass player. I was always.
And
just
here
a piano
you go.
player.
You're singing and playing bass, and
Yeah,
I don't know some band nobody's ever heard of before.
A continent band or whatever it was. But yeah, the trickiest song to play, probably "Time Again." I'd say that's quite tricky because we did a few things to the arrangement of that, and it's in an awkward place. I think the thing with Asia stuff is you can tell that it was written around the piano because it all it feels nice. It sort of sits under the hands, and then when you transfer it to something, maybe it's just because I'm not that, I haven't played the bass for 20 years. You know what I mean? But a lot of things are in a really strange place. Like F is not a nice key to be playing sort of pentatonic things on an open string. It's sort of, it's just awkward. It's just in a weird stretch place. But yeah, Time Again's quite taxing, and it's driving. And you've got Virgil sort of saying, you better keep up, otherwise you're gonna fall over.
And even though a lot of what John was playing on those early Asia albums might not necessarily have been, Jaco Pastoria's craziness, but Scott, you can attest, John Wetton was a pretty good bass player.
John Wetton was, among many others. I hope that people, when they listen to my stuff, they're going to hear me aping John a lot of the time.
Amazing.
A lot of the time. Yeah. I love his playing.
Now, Jeff Shilka, Harry, wants to know what some of your favorite Asia songs have been to sing so far.
Oh, the hits are always quite nice to sing. Even if, not saying that they're not my favorites, but they're an obvious choice, aren't they? But if you sing Heat of the Moment and you see everybody singing along, there's something quite special about that. But things like The Smile Has Left Your Eyes, that's quite fun to sing. Very, very scary to sing because it's sort of so bare. It's quite a naked performance because it's acoustic as well. It's just an acoustic guitar, the piano, and the voice. So it's very sort of front and center. You know that all eyes are on you for that. But
definitely.
I'd say, but Don't Cry. Out of the whole set list, I think Don't Cry is my favorite thing. There's just something. It just feels great. It's sort of, it bounces along, and it's just, I love Don't Cry.
Cool. Good answer. Good song. That may or may not be on my list, Harry. We'll see. But anyway, I just, I put this panel together because I just wanted to get a bunch of people that love the band, talking a little bit about the band. Wayne, I want to get some thoughts from you real quick. Let's keep this thing pithy, everybody. Just give me like your top 10 real quick and what your general thoughts are about Asia. Do you love them? Do you hate them? You better not say you hate them, or otherwise, why are you on the stream? But what are your overall thoughts, Wayne? What do you got for me today?
They're a band that I, quite honestly, up until doing this, I've never listened to, other than the song "In the Heat of the Moment."
There you go.
But
that's cool. That's why we love Wayne. He's honest. He doesn't play like a lot of these YouTubers. Like, oh yeah, I've been listening to him for years, and then you actually hear him talk about the band. It's like, they've never listened to it. Go ahead, Wayne.
But going through it, it's really interesting. They have quite a unique discography, and I might even say that I like a lot of their later albums actually more than their first 3 or so they did.
Yeah, the latest 4. Unbelievably underrated.
Yep. Yeah, and I think a lot of my selections, like I think about half or maybe more of my selections actually come from those later albums.
Well, lay it on me. Let's hear what you got.
So I have one honorable mention, mainly because listening to it, I got the Dolby Atmos thing you get at the beginning of every movie, Countdown to Zero.
Yeah, that's cool.
That intro. I was like, I've heard this wave.
Harry, you should ask Jeff how that was created. I've always wondered, since that was used for Dolby Atmos, how that sound was created. and Jeff
I
would
don't know
know.
what. Yeah, yeah. But hopefully he'd know. But funny
He
enough,
might
that
be
was
the
our,
only one that knows.
You might
Yeah,
be
maybe.
the only one that knows.
that was our walk on. That sort of playing thing. That was the walk on music that we used. It was sort of really
Sweet.
atmospheric. But yeah,
Sweet.
Yeah.
it sounds like a sort of Oberheim or something. It's a very unique sort of thick. Yeah,
It sounds
I
like an
will-
O'Brien would be able to do that. Yeah.
yeah, something. Yeah, I'll find out. I'll report back.
Yeah, report back.
Yeah.
All right, Wayne, what else?
Number 10 for me, Russian Dolls.
Oh,
Wow.
Really like that song.
I love that. That almost made my list.
Song number 9 from the debut, Soul Survivor. Killer song. Number 8, The Heat Goes On.
Yes. Harry does a great version of that, by the way.
Thank you.
Go to Harry's YouTube channel.
Harry, I've just subscribed to you, my friend.
Oh, thank you. It's you've doubled my numbers now. That's
After number 7, After the War.
Mm.
Like that song. 2 versions of that song I love is the Asia version and the one done by Gary Moore.
Mm,
I haven't heard that.
right on.
Next up, I believe it's a bonus track, Emily.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
I really like that song. Next one's Holy War.
Oh, yeah.
Really good song. Next one is Nyctophobia.
Yep.
Great driving song. Like,
Cool.
that's one thing about Asia I found is that they can have their sappy moments, but at the end of the day, they can also rock as well.
Mm.
Number 3, Sleeping Giant, No Way Back, reprise.
Yeah.
Killer song. Number 2, Judas. And number 1 for me, In the Heat of the Moment.
Yeah.
Judas at number 2, man. That's a good call. I love it. I love it.
Yep, that's my list.
It's a good
Okay.
list.
Cool. Right on.
Steve Howe influenced list, maybe.
Hmm.
Maybe.
I love it. I love it. A couple of those actually are on my honorable mentions. Almost made my list. As did Richard Willis's Parallel Worlds Vortex Dea.
Yeah.
That little medley is so good. So good. What Says You, Brent Bristow from Emerald City Council, whose debut album, Motion Carries, still my favorite debut album. Of
Awesome.
2024.
We're hearing that a lot. We're hearing that a lot.
Nobody's passed it yet. On a personal level, I hope no one does. Just because you and I are now friends.
Right.
But it's going to be, I kind of want somebody to surpass you because I love new music and I love new bands, but it puts me in a weird position. So we'll see how the year ends, man.
Well, I'll just say this as a fan of Prague, who's always hungry for more music. If I did hear an album that I loved that much, that I was, like, oh man, this is definitely the best debut, I would be happy to be able to find another album to fall in love with, for sure. So I would not be upset about that.
Well, that's very gracious of you conceding in advance. Hopefully that concession speech will not be required. We're going to can it, use it in a later episode.
All right.
Great. But what says you about the great Asia, Brent?
Oh, well, yeah, I've been a huge Asia fan for years. I'll tell one quick funny story. I was about 17, I think I was driving to class one day, and I was listening to the first album. And I think this was the first time I'd ever listened to it in my car, and was listening to Cutting It Fine, where suddenly the siren comes in, and I thought it was a cop pulling me over, and I didn't see anything and almost wrecked my car trying to figure out where the siren was coming from, until I suddenly realized, oh, that's part of the song. So, it was a kind of a funny moment there. But anyway, I sort of went in sort of reverse alphabetical order. or not alphabetical order, but chronological order.
Okay, nice.
And I discovered, to my great shame, that somehow or another I missed buying Gravitas. I don't know how that happened.
Ooh.
So I have a whole new album to discover.
And you will be. Hey, no Steve Howe.
Right.
I'm telling you, I hate to say it because I'm a Steve Howe guy. You're not going to miss him, man. Sam does such an amazing job on that album.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good one. Yeah. Exciting. You're in for a good time.
Well, I'm going to check it out. So from the Triple X album, No Religion is great. Bury Me in Willow is another great one from that.
Yeah, it is.
Omega, Listen Children. I really love that one. Finger on the Trigger is another good one. With Phoenix, I just, never again. I mean, because, we didn't know if those guys were ever going to get together again. And that was just such a positive. I remember just putting that CD on and just hearing them just blare into that and just be like, oh, yeah, they're back. It was just such a visceral moment. Yeah. And then on the flip side of that was from the Live in Moscow album, the one studio track, Carrie Ann. That was such a good track, and I thought, wow, this is really showing us what's to come. And then it took how many more years before we got more. So
I forgot about that track. I'm glad somebody because that was a good song, man.
Yeah,
that's a deep pull.
But it was a tease. It was a tease, though, man. It wasn't right.
It was. Yeah, because I was waiting. I was like, all right. Yeah. It's going to be another album, and then it didn't happen. Then just before that, on the Now and Then, Days Like These, another great one. I'm sort of tied.
Guitar on that one.
What's that?
Steve Lukather is on guitar on Days Like These.
Oh yeah, yeah,
right, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. A good friend of Jake's, our singer. And then we have from the Asher album, it's a tie between Go and Voice of America. I would really have a hard time picking between those. And then from the Alpha album, so being a saxophonist for years, I play, as a teenager, I was already playing bar gigs when I was like 15, and I found myself as a sax player standing around for 90% of the night waiting for when I had to play some licks, and it got really boring. So I decided, I need to start playing some keyboard so I can do something when I'm not playing sax. And so the very first song that I learned on piano was The Smiles Left Your Eyes. Wow. And that was the very first one that I sat down and learned. And then also Open Your Eyes is just such a great one. I love that. From the first album, of course, Heat of the Moment has to be in there. Only Time Will Tell, my go-to karaoke song. I love that one. Wildest Dreams. And then I'm going to throw in a little bit of a wild card. The flip side of the single of Heat of the Moment is a song called Ride Easy.
Yeah.
That was almost my number one. That's their, I think, really that's the proggiest song that Asia did.
I love that little 4-song EP they did, which gathered up those B-sides.
Right. Yeah.
What was it? Ride Easy, Daylight.
Yeah.
Lying to Yourself.
Lying to Yourself. Right.
Oh, those are 4 great songs right there,
man.
Yeah. They kind of get buried and nobody thinks about them anymore.
Well, I actually grabbed this. I've lost the record somewhere, but I still have the actual cover to the Heat of the Moment with Ride Easy on the flip side.
Nice.
And I had this since I was about, 12 or something like that, 12 or 13. And I can tell you that as much as I love Heat of the Moment, I think I listen to Ride Easy way more times than I listen to Heat of the Moment. And I'm still just sort of scratch my head going, why did that not? And I think it was a bonus track for the cassette. Is that right? They were trying to market the cassette.
I think so. Yeah.
And I think that's what it came to, but I'm glad they put it on the flip side. That's how I discovered it. But that was almost really my number one, but my number one would be Time Again.
Oh, good call.
Yeah.
And I don't think Geffen was being particularly generous. I think they put it on the cassette because they had a little extra time, and you know how that goes. They didn't want to, cut a song halfway through like an 8-track. So they tried to make the A side and the B side as close together as possible. I think that's the only reason they did it, man. But what an incredible song that is.
It really is. Yeah.
I love it. A great list from Brent. I expected no less, but Scott G. Davis is an avowed, well-known, very vocal fan of one John Wetton. I think
Yes.
he's been on record as saying he's one of your top 5 vocalists of all time.
Yeah, I think I said top 3. That was on the Rushmore episode. Yeah.
So that would make it at least top 4 if he was on Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
So you may have a dog in this fight. Let's hear what you got for me.
Well, my Asia story, I have a long, painful Asia story that I can't get into today. That, another time perhaps. But my funny Asia introduction was the album was released in March of '82, the first album. And at that point, all of us who were prog fans of all the bands that these gentlemen came from, we were all kind of wallowing. ELP was done. Genesis was busy letting me down. UK was over, and I never got over that. So one day, my friends Duff and Brian and I were hanging out at Duff's brother's house, and we were getting ready to go somewhere, and the stereo was on very loud, as it always was. And the announcer comes on and talks about this new band, Asia. And this is the first we had heard anything about this. There was no internet. There was precious little cover in magazines, etc. And it was One Step Closer. That was the first song I ever heard from this band. And it just floored me. I'm like, I can hear the elements of all those bands that I love. But it's something different. It's something else. It's something that brings forward that progressive attitude in such a way that it's more palatable to more people, obviously. So that day was a big life changer for me. And we went down that day and started asking for the record. Well, it was not available yet. That was just an advance. I have no idea why One Step Closer was the song they were playing on the radio. Maybe it was part of it, an advance promo or something, but the album wasn't available yet. And we loved it so much that 2 of the 3 of us put down our money in advance for when it came in and left our names and came and got it later. It's still a classic record. Going back these last several weeks and re-listening to all of the Asia stuff we're talking about today, that first album just stands up. It really does, more so than I had remembered. My list is, some may call it a cop-out. 9 of the 10 songs are from the first album. When I listen to the more recent stuff, I hear a lot of very solid material and a lot of great songs. I particularly love the album Phoenix. Never Again was just a shot from the blue. There was very little fanfare when it came out, as I remember. I don't remember really hearing much of anything, and all of a sudden there it was. And that's a great album. But for me, it's that first album. It really is. I got a few honorable mentions. Smile Has Left Your Eyes, Don't Cry, Open Your Eyes, Wishing, Heat Goes On, The Last to Know, Go, and Never Again from Phoenix. Those are all my honorables. The list proper starts at 10 with Hard on Me from Asia. That's a wonderful song. Great piece of arranging. What I said, it was on Astra, correct? Yes, it's on Astra. I think Astra has better production than Alpha. Alpha was, to my ear, a mess in a lot of ways. They took John Wetton's beautiful voice and made it harsh in a lot of places, to the point where there's certain songs on there that I just had to skip because the production was wrecking it for me. And that was just this week. Previously, I hadn't responded like that. I always just kind of remembered that album being very wet. Number 9 for me is Midnight Sun from Alpha, and that's the only song on here from Alpha. I love Midnight Sun. Great piece of work all around. As I've said, every time I talk about singers I admire, I could listen to John Wetton sing The Phone Book, and I would pay money for it. He's just got one of those voices. And incidentally, Harry, thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to say to you today. If I had a chance, is to say thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
I didn't get a chance to see the band on this tour through America, but I will definitely be going if you swing back through here, because
definitely.
Very, very impressive what I've seen. Anyway, number 8, Here Comes the Feeling from Asia, from the first album. the first album is just so, it expands on the band's the band members' previous histories. To my ear, the guy in the band that had to adjust the least to Asia was Steve Howe, because you just hear Steve Howe-isms all through everything. The only exception, obviously, being Heat of the Moment. Those big power chords were something that he had never really done and wanted to try his hand at, and it became one of the biggest singles of all time. But through the rest of that first album, it's definitely Steve Howe-isms, counter melodies and acoustic parts, and little Chet Atkins things. On One Step Closer, that little break that he has, and then Jeff has his little break at the same point when it comes back around. Let's see, number 7, Cutting It Fine, another great song. I mean, they were just hitting way above their weight with the songs on this album. I don't know where it all came from. I hear in some of the songs, and Cutting It Fine in particular, I hear some UK things, particularly when on Danger Money and Night After Night, the song Night After Night, the verses to that song sound very Asia-ish.
Oh yeah.
So it's possible that, Wetton brought some of that attitude with him.
There's definitely something to be said for Cutting It Fine as well. Like when we played that live on the tour, and it's got this very sort of syncopated bass line to what's being sung. It's really odd. Like it is very UK actually. The verse.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh yeah. He let that come out a couple of times, and that was one of them. Number 6, Without You, from the first album. And I'm just going to whiz through these because it's the first album, basically. Only Time Will Tell. Soul Survivor at number 4. I love that song.
Yeah.
The rhythm section is just on top of it. John and Carl really found themselves a place to coexist in a hurry when this band came together, and that's really shown off there. 3 is that first song I ever heard, One Step Closer. It's got these really odd harmonies in it that are just really cool. The way it's put together is very unique and proggy to me. Number 2 would be Wildest Dreams. Still,
beautiful.
My top song. And my number 1 Asia song is Time Again.
Yeah,
absolutely. Time Again. You'll notice you don't hear Heat of the Moment on my list.
Wow.
And there's a reason for that. I figured everyone else was going to do it, first of all. Second of all, it does bear the pain of overfamiliarity. It really does for me. I've heard it so many times, and it doesn't. That might be the reason why it's not in as high a favor with me in the back of my head as some of the other songs in that album. It doesn't suffer for it. It's still a great piece of pop music.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't put Carry On Wayward Son in my top 10 Kansas albums.
Same thing.
Or songs. It's
great song, great record.
Just heard it too many times, perhaps.
Yeah. Stairway to Heaven falls in that category.
I wonder if Heat of the Moment's going to be on my top 10 list.
Well, I guess we're going to find out here.
I wonder if it's going to be on Cody's list. I wonder if Harry's got... Man, the people want to hear Harry's list. Let's be honest. All this stuff is just superfluous. The people want Harry's list, but they're going to have to suffer through your list first, Cody.
Well,
how about that?
Okay, let's
make them wait.
All right, I got a couple of honorable mentions here too. I got Bury Me in Willow from the Triple X album, and Don't Cry from Alpha. I don't have a lot of picks from Alpha, even though it is a good album. Like The Smile Has Left Your Eyes and stuff's a nice song. But I kind of have to second what Scott Davis said about the production of it, especially since I'm such a massive Carl Palmer fan and being a drummer myself. Why are the drums tucked so low in the mix?
Yeah, they're buried.
But
and where was that album recorded?
That I'm not sure of.
The Neil Peart studio, man. It was down at Lay Manor, and the drums sound like that.
What's a shame as well?
Mike Scott.
I will say something that's a shame about that second album. I love that second album, but I see people say online a lot, "Oh, I can't wait for when they do a remix of the album." I don't think that will ever happen, only because it's I believe that, this is me off the record saying this, I believe that all of the multi-tracks were lost in the fire.
I believe you're right. I think I read that
Yeah, I think all of that, if there was any lost material, all of that sort of stuff that people say, I wonder if there's anything in the vault. I don't think, and this is me as a fan, not being, I don't know. I've never actually asked the question. This is me as a sort
and
of
I've heard that is the fact for quite a few of our favorite beloved records that we want.
Well, Harry, I think that's as good. Harry, I think that's as good a reason as any to re-record it.
Hey now,
hey.
Well, they could also petition Peter Jackson to deconstruct it.
Yeah, that'll be good.
This is true. Yeah,
I should have known that, and I actually think that I do recall reading that it was recorded at Le Studio in Quebec. I should have known that since I don't live all that far from there, really. But anyway, so Don't Cry and Bohemian Willow are my two honorable mentions. Number 10, I got to do Only Time Will Tell from this album. So good, fantastic. Next up, I revisited this Phoenix record, and I found out that I love it so much. I've always liked it, but getting ready in preparation for this, I just think it's fantastic. The production is great on this. Everyone sounds amazing. It's not too much of one thing and less of another. It is really a fantastic comeback album. And I really like this record. So I got a couple of cuts from this. I've got Parallel Worlds, Vortex, and Dea. Obviously, as a drummer, I've got to have the song with the drum solo in it. Heroin, he pronounces it heroin in the song, but it's heroin, I don't know. But anyway, that's a great little John Wetton sort of ballady track. Really, really nice. And Never Again, of course. So those are the three songs that I picked from this record.
Fantastic.
Going up to number 6, we're going to the Astra record, which does, in my eyes, have, or in my ears, I should say, it does have slightly better production than the second record. I really like this album. So I've got, well, 2 songs, but one will be featuring up in a little bit. Countdown to Zero. Fantastic. So good. Rapid Fire, going back to the first album, number 5, Wildest Dreams.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we got Soul Survivor as well, and Heat of the Moment.
Okay.
Heat of the Moment is such a fantastic tune. I mean, I know it's a big pop song, but listen to the time changes flowing throughout that thing. It's fantastic. And number 2, we're going back to Astra, and we've got Go. Fantastic. Well, just what a great way to open the album. You know, it's so dark, and it really sets the mood, sets the tone, because I find a lot of this album to have a sort of darker edge to it, and maybe that's why I like it as much as I do. But great. And it doesn't have Steve Howe on it. It doesn't have Steve Howe.
Mandy
I'm
Meyer.
a big fan of Crocus, so I was okay that Mandy Meyer was there. I thought he did a good job.
I think he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, it is. It is good. It is very good. And number 1, as a drummer, you've got to pick Time Again.
Yep.
Time Again. Fantastic. I really should do a drum cover of that and put it up on my YouTube channel, because I got a couple of other covers. I haven't done an Asia one yet, but I love that song, and I should do it. I actually saw Asia live unfortunately, Harry, it was before you were in the band.
Was that the Bumblefoot era?
Yes, I saw them with Ron Thal, and got to meet the band. So Carl Palmer, Jeff Downs, and everyone was so cool. And Harry, now that you're in the fold, I would love to go see you guys when you come back around. I know you guys just played Niagara Falls about a month ago.
Yeah.
I had to miss that show for some reasons, but I'll be able to see you guys when you come back again.
Definitely. Do it. You're more than
Niagara Falls is only less than an hour from me, so
yeah. Oh, amazing.
Next Asia tour, hopefully, we'll add some additional dates. But everything that I heard, everything I saw, apparently the tour went really, really well. Harry, what were your impressions? Your first big rock and roll tour, headlining tour and whatnot. Was it everything you thought it was going to be, or were some things that surprised you?
It's amazing. It is amazing. It's very surreal, and I think from an internal perspective as well, management and the band and everybody was very aware that this was going to be very tricky, because it's a new lineup, But more so, the trickiest thing is that nobody is aware of who this singer is.
Yeah.
That's, and regardless of whatever you think, like Jeff might think that I was the best thing on planet Earth, that doesn't make people buy tickets. You have to prove why people should come and see you. You can't just say, because I say it's good. As much as Jeff's opinion, I would buy a ticket if Jeff said buy a ticket, but I'm not just a Communal Garden fan. So we knew going into it that it could be a tricky sell, but thankfully loads of people showed up and it sounded pretty good. So, it's...
And from what I was hearing, from the audio that I was hearing from the tour, it sounded a whole lot like a band with something to prove.
Yeah, it is a very... Yeah, it was
right?
a very
in particular, the lead singer. The lead singer had something to prove.
I did, and hopefully I proved it a little bit. But yeah, it's a hard edge lineup, I'd say. Like, you listen to some of those songs, and they do sort of drive. It's quite, not to say that everything's aggressive, but it pushes along. Everything really sort of, this is a rock show. You're going to come and see Asia. It's a rock show. You're not you're not going to just be sat there in your seat, sort of thinking, oh, I wish they'd just turn that up a little bit. It's going to be, it's a rock show. Come and just, yeah.
So I'm really interested if Harry's top 10 will in some way mirror the set list, since these were the songs that he's really been, living with over the past few months, or if he's going to go in some other directions. Harry, we're doing the top 10 Asia tracks today, man, and you're not immune. We're gonna hold your feet to the fire. We're gonna put your actual thoughts right here on the permanent record.
That's fine. Let's do it. Right. So
before we get started, I just want to say to the Margaret Metal Mouse, absolutely, thank you so much. You are a great human being. Thank you for becoming a member. Oh, that's music to my ears. I absolutely love it. Thank you. I'll try my hardest not to let you down too badly. Harry, the floor is yours.
Okay, this was quite a tricky list. It was a tricky list, and I didn't want to just pick the hits, and I didn't want to just pick the set list, because I think that's all of those songs that are in the set are very near and dear to me. And I didn't want to sort of just choose those. So what I did is I chose the songs I would most like to listen to, I guess. I think that's what I've gone for, the top songs that I think, if I listen to this, I'd love this. I'd love this. So in no particular order, I don't think, really. At number 10 is Holy War.
Cool.
There's something about that song. It just drives. You're going to hear me say it drives a lot, because I tend to say that. It's I love Holy War. I love that whole album.
Yeah, you said there's something about that song. You know what that something is, Harry? It's awesome. That's what that something is.
It's great. You got the Carl Palmer sort of solo over the end, which is quite sort of that. Yeah, it's great. I love Holy War. At number 9, I've gone a little bit left field here, and some people might hate me for this, but I've got to do it. John Wetton is one of my favourite singers, but also one of my other favourite singers has been in Asia. So I'm going to choose Eye to Eye, but specifically the Greg Lake version from Asia in
nice.
I was a man after my own heart.
Yeah. Wow. I love Greg Lake, and I especially love the version of Eye to Eye that is on that. Everything about it. Carl pushes like a tank on that live recording of Eye to Eye. He is so solid, and he is just pushing everything. Like, the whole band is sort of trying to keep up with Carl Palmer. It's not that he's rushing. He's just driving everything forward, and it's such a great... You listen to it. Whenever I listen to that song, all I want is to be standing where Greg Lake is standing. That's whenever I listen to that, I just think, I wish I was in this band at that minute, because it's so powerful. I love that song. And the song is great.
Yeah.
Number 8 is I Know How You Feel from Triple X. Triple X was probably, I think it's from Triple X, isn't it? Yeah. And Triple X is the first Asia album that I bought. It was around this time that I got into Asia. So this is sort of 2012, 11, something like that. I'm not entirely sure the year. But yeah, I Know How You Feel. All of the versions of it, the album version, and the live version that they used to do as a sort of acoustic, just piano pad and John singing. I love that version. Number 7 is Never Again.
Mm-hmm.
I love Phoenix. I think that's a really strong opener as well. It was
absolutely.
it nearly made the set list as well for the tour. It was, we did mention Never Again. Number 6 is There Was a Time from Omega. I think it's from Omega.
Yeah.
Sort of a Celtic feel sort of thing. I know it sounds a bit corny to say, it's a Celtic feel or something, but it just lays this lovely backdrop, and then John, when everybody comes in at the end, shoots up the octave and sings the same thing an octave higher, and that's so powerful. John's great at doing that sort of thing, of singing everything in a lower register and then jumping up the octave and singing it again, and it just sort of opens everything up. It's like this big door of John Wetton has opened, and it's sort of like, yes, I have the greatest voice ever, but yeah, that's There Was a Time. Number 5 is My Own Time. I love that song. I love that intro. We played that at the John Wetton tribute, and there's just something about that da 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 smack. Like it's great. I love that song. Number 4 is Through My Veins. What some of my favorite Carl Palmer drumming is on Through My Veins. It's just
Omega.
And I think it's a Steve Howe song, that one as well.
It is a Hal Wetton co-write credit.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Number 3 is One Step Closer.
Nice.
Yeah, I love One Step Closer. The harmony vocal, very unique as well for Asia. That's not really a thing. It's just John Wetton and a huge chorus of backing vocals.
Huge chorus of John.
Yeah, huge chorus of John. And do you know what? I think most of them are on it. I think Steve Howe is some of the backing vocals as well.
Okay.
And funny enough, when we were rehearsing for the tour, we spent 3 or 4 days just working out all the backing vocals. Virgil wasn't there. It was just me, John, and Jeff. And we listened to some of the multi-tracks that Jeff had got. And those backing vocals are so precise. And there is so much going on there that is more than what you'd think it would be. It's not just stacks of thirds and fifths. There are moving parts everywhere. It's sort of, even in things like Heat of the Moment, it is so particular. And if it's not right, it sounds really weird. It sounds very stale if those parts aren't right. Anyway, number 2, I'm going to go for Go. I love Go. I have a little bit of Go history as well.
Oh, good.
This is the bass that's on Go.
Wow! Oh my God!
So this is John Wetton's first legacy Zon bass. And yeah, this is the bass that is on all of that album. It's one of the ones that we took on the tour. The second one that we took on the tour is John's Zon legacy that is on the Live from Tokyo 2000 the reunion DVD, the Live in Japan thing. But yeah, I love Go. It's got such a driving. It's just a great song. It's just a great rock song. It's sort of very of the time in a good way. It's sort of very Journey, sort of big anthemic song. And number 1, I'm going to go with Bury Me in Willow. Ooh. I love that song. It's very powerful, and lyrically it's very powerful as well. I think John Wetton is very not unappreciated, but people don't realize how great of a lyricist he was. There are some really, and especially on Gravitas, like honorable mentions, things like Valkyrie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What a song.
There's so many great lyrics, but there's so many great songs that I could just say, just take the Asia catalog, and there you go. Those are my top Asia songs, because those songs are great. They're great songs written by great musicians, regardless of what you think of the band. Like, people can say, "Oh yeah, I like everybody individually, but I was never quite sure of the band." I think even if you think that, you can't deny that they don't write great songs. It's when people say I don't like ABBA. I don't believe them. Because if you don't like that, you don't like pop. You don't like pop. And then I think it's the same with Asia. If you say that you don't like, oh, I don't like Heat at the moment, it's like, well, you don't like rock music, do you really? Like, it's as much as you can say, oh, it's cheesy or you know, blah 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 blah. It's a great song.
Yeah, it
and
is.
you know, and what's wrong with a great song? Nothing.
And you know, there aren't many albums that could have gone toe to toe in 1982 with the King of Pop and come out victorious. Yeah, Asia was the #1 selling album of all of 1982, and yeah, Thriller came out that year. Don't check the release dates. Had nothing to do with the fact that Thriller came out at the tail end of the year. Nothing to do with that at all. Harry, wow, amazing list. Kind of right?
Awesome.
Love those basses too. Wow.
Yeah, you know,
Very nice.
Yeah.
it's very nerve-wracking knowing that they're there.
Yeah.
Harry
I was
would,
going to
Harry would
say,
have a list.
don't let Scott Davis near those.
I was going to say, the door is
Oh,
locked.
I've played a few Zons in my lifetime, and they're just exquisite instruments. They're very, very fine.
Yeah,
Now-
they're lovely.
My list here, you know, this was a tough one for me because I want to be fair. You know how I like to spread the love around, but I also got to be honest. So I just threw away all restrictions, and these are my 10 favorite Asia songs. Has nothing to do with whether they were popular or whether they were hits or how many per album. At number 10, the very last Asia song John Wetton ever put on Wax. It's Till We Meet Again off of Gravitas. What an amazing farewell song. Like, it just, even listening to it now makes me want to cry. And those stacked vocal harmonies on that thing, just amazing. Number 9 from Astra, I'm going with Go. Everybody seems to love Go, right? I thought I'd be kind of like out on a limb on Go. I'm good to see you guys are on board with it because that album just had a lot more get up and go to it than the second album. And that video, it was the only time where like a Roger Dean like creation came to life on MTV. You know, why didn't they do more of that? Why didn't, you know, come on, Roger Dean, so visual, MTV visual. Go was a total bullseye for me. At number 8, Never Again. Talk about a bullseye, right? We're gone for a little while. Oh, you know, we're coming back, and here we go. Never Again's like they never went anywhere. It sounded like, you know, that should have been the follow-up to the debut or something. It was amazing. At number 7, it's been mentioned already, but Ride Easy. That flip side, the heat of the moment, is just amazing. Yeah, it should have been on the album proper, absolutely. At number 6, I'm so glad Harry had this on his list. Great Minds Think Alike. It's Through My Veins off Omega. Just, you know, warm in my heart seeing John Wetton and Steve Howe writing together. I don't know how closely they actually wrote together, but they got co-songwriting credit, so that's always cool. Number 5, my panel knows what time it is. It's been mentioned before. It's Midnight Sun. Clearly one of the absolute highlights off that second album. At number 4, to me, the real highlight off of Alpha is The Smile Has Left Your Eyes. I mean, even though it's schmaltzy and, you know, is a big old hit, right? It's still just an amazing pop song. Sounded great on the radio back then. I still love it. Top 3. Sadly, all from the same album. Number 3, I got Soul Survivor. Absolutely incredible. And number 1 and 2 is actually really hard for me between Only Time Will Tell and Heat of the Moment. To me, 2 of the greatest songs ever written. Just structurally, if you look at them, break them down, analyze them, chorus, pre-chorus, you know, verse, middle 8, intro. Everything works. Everything's exactly where they should be. Every part is absolutely perfect on both of those songs. But I'm going with Heat of the Moment at number 1 because it hit number 4 in the U.S. and I let the people speak. The Billboard charts have spoken. This album hit number 1, man. You know how many Yes albums hit number 1? Not a single one, boys and girls. Not a single solitary one. This debut album was so amazing. And it's kind of not their fault that their 3 best songs they ever did were the first 3 songs on their first album. That's the only problem I have with Asia. The only one. I got no problem with anything else they ever did except the fact that, you know, how do you top that? I mean, really, seriously, given what they were set out to do, given what their mission statement was. How do you top Soul Survivor? Only time will tell in heat of the moment. I mean, there you go. That's my mission statement. Oh, here we are to the world. And a shout out to the great John Kolodner. This is, Harry probably knows a whole lot more about the history of Asia than all of us put together. But, we had this whole thing this whole time when we were trying to get Bill Bruford and Rick Wakeman and Trevor Rabin into some kind of a super group, and even Trevor Rabin was considered for Asia. There were all these permutations and stuff, but it was the genius of John Kolodner that said Steve Howe and Jeb Downs would work really well in this configuration. And this guy knew a little something about putting together super groups because apparently he had a little something to do with Foreigners formation, damn Yankees. So shout out to the great A&R man, John Kolodner. You knocked it out of the park with Asia, my friend. One of the greatest bands of all time. I was a little mad at the debut when it came out in 82. Not going to lie. I was working at the record store and, all the promo stuff, man. Members of Yes, King Crimson, Uriah Heep, just laying it all out there. And I anticipated something that sounded like Yes or King Crimson, and it didn't. And to their infinite credit, they created something totally different, man. They showed that AOR could be infused with intelligent songwriting. They showed that radio rock could actually be interesting and something that you want to listen to more than once or twice, because a lot of that AOR stuff was just kind of ear candy, not a lot of substance to it, right? Asia was different, always different. I will always love them. So yeah, after about a month or two of listening to that debut album, I realized I was wrong. I was dead wrong, like Wayne is most of the time. We have fun band week in, week out. Anyway, boys and girls, oh man, this was awesome. We just talked to the lead singer of Asia about Asia. Come on, man. That doesn't happen all the time. Scott, what's going on with your cat?
Chief has decided he wanted to sit in on this one. He is not taking no for an answer.
There you go. Well, guys, this is like bucket list kind of stuff. Cool. Harry, you and I have been friends on the Twitter for a long, long time. So this was just obviously karma. This was bound to happen for you. I knew it was going to happen before anybody knew. I dreamed about it, and there it is. This is just amazing, guys. Great show. I love you guys. Anybody got any final words for Harry?
It's a pleasure to meet you, man. Next time you guys come around, unfortunately, last time you guys were here, I was just preoccupied with some other stuff going on. But next time you guys are around, I will be there seeing you guys play.
Whenever we're out there and any of you are near, just send me a message and you're more than welcome to come along to the show.
Excellent.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
I will be there.
Harry, thank you so much, man. What's going on? Anything that you're allowed to talk about?
No, but there is that.
There's scuttlebutt. Okay, say no more. I don't want to get you in any trouble whatsoever. I can say whatever I want, right?
Yeah, make
walk away with absolute clean hands.
Harry,
the title of this video will be Harry announces new Asia album.
Harry, the thing I want to say is that I wish you the best of success with Asia, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're a gentleman and a scholar. I've been a big, big fan of yours for a long, long time. Harry, couldn't happen to a nicer, more talented guy. One who actually respects the source material, right? So important. This isn't just some bum walking in here off the street, man. This is a dude that knows and respects the legacy. Does great job of it, man. Harry, so proud of you. Anyway, boys and girls, tomorrow, hey, we start Nectar Week on this channel. And I've been told I say it wrong. It's nectar. Why do I always say it nectar? What's wrong with it?
I was going to ask you about that.
What's wrong with it? I don't know, man. I'm just like this weird dude with all these weird tics. I guess it's nectar, boys and girls. I'm sorry I've been saying it wrong for the past 50 years. Come on, man. Don't call me out on stuff like that. Tomorrow starts Nectar Week.
Just say it your way. Just say it your way. That's all right.
We're interviewing Derek Moore, bass player and founding member of Nectar. You like that? Nectar? And then I'll be reviewing the new album. I'll be ranking the album. So all week, Nectar content for you boys and girls. It just doesn't even sound right, man. I'm sorry. It's Nectar. Anyway, I love you guys. Peace in the Middle East. Free the Tibet, free the Ukraine, free William. God save the king, save King Charles. Oh, Harry, we're going to sing King Chucky. We're going to save that boy. We're going to dance with snakes. Oh, yeah, we're going to dance with them snakes. Oh, Harry, it's not going to do any good. Oh, the snakes are going to get thrown behind me, and we're going to see you guys tomorrow with Nectar Week. I'll see you then.